Hello everyone and welcome back to Run It Up number 66. We're here today playing some 50-cent $1 no-limit Texas Hold'em on ultimatepoker.com, and that's pretty much it. We just got started a hand ago. I've lost $1.50 since then, and that's pretty much it. We got hit yesterday for 150, so Pocket Kings might start with the healing nice and early this video. Let's see, don't think we know too many of our opponents here. This King Shippo guy looks maybe kind of familiar. Pokerizer looks familiar. These other three guys, not so much. This guy's won both of the last hands that we've seen played. He raised out of the small blind against me and then raised on the button against both of us. So he's been raising a lot. So he might anticipate that we're re-raising. He just says, nope, I have nothing, which is what we thought. Okay, we shipped that one. If you didn't see yesterday's video yet, I had a little tournament adventure. You should go check that out. I guess, if you want to. It was a fun little video, I thought. If you've seen it, which I assume at this point you'll have went back or don't care at this point what spoilers were, what can you do? It's the tournament variance. Some tournaments will be 3 hours long and you'll get crazy videos. Some videos will be 24 minutes long and it won't be as sick. So sorry if you felt like it was Jones, you were like, you're gypped a little bit there. That's right. But I didn't, I don't really know what to do about that. I felt bad because I was really in like a casting mood, and I think the rest of the video is actually like pretty good. So I was like, man, maybe I should have like gone longer or done something else or whatever, but didn't work out for us that time. Hopefully you guys aren't too upset with me. I'll make it up to you. It'll be a great week. Just wait and see. Just you wait and see the cool things I've got in store for you today. Well, maybe not today, but very soon, I promise. So I think that's pretty much what's new in the Run It Up world. Oh, just wait. There are a couple of things that are still pending that I forgot that I can't quite share yet. But let me just say that one of them is on my desk, and you'll see. You'll see. There will be a couple people out there that will be mighty happy to see the things that I've got going on in the next couple days. But for now, let's play some poker. Let's see if we can run it up. Do some healing. I would love nothing more than to be at $2,000 this week. I think that's a very reasonable goal. Not the easiest of goals, mind you, but I'd like to try to get there. I guess we just fold here with deuce 7 offsuit. All right, sure. That was a little aggressive. So the reason this video is being filmed a little bit late, actually much later than I've been filming them usually, because I have been up watching the main event final table. There's not too many poker events that are like must-see viewing, but I feel like the main event final table is one of them. And even though I didn't follow almost any of the coverage this year, besides, I'm not going to spoil anything, don't worry. Besides like the very first couple episodes, I haven't really been paying attention, but definitely seemed like a thing to watch. There's not too many things that define the game that we love so much more than the main event final table. So I definitely was sweating that. I had to just pause it because it was getting so late. I was like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? Make a video like 4 a.m? I forgot how late that thing runs. Last year it wasn't too bad because, last year, sick brag, I had something to do with that final table. And last year, a great experience, by the way. Last year, they wrapped it by, I think when Russ busted in 4th, which they played down to 3. When Russ busted in 4th, it was I don't know, before midnight, I think. I think the whole thing took 6 hours, which is why day 2 took 12 hours. Because they were all so deep, but good times. I made some good friends out of that. Obviously Russ, but also Greg and Jake. I also became pretty good friends with. If I've ever said on the videos, and I'm pretty sure I have, if I've ever said that little grinder, that's a Balsigerism. How's that for a word? That's a little Balsigerism. All right, 2 King is gonna get the job done there. Let's see what we can do here in the big blind. My guess is we'd like to defend this hand, and that's true. We would like to defend this hand, the old queen and 7. Unless someone does something super aggressive, we'll probably be seeing a flop here. It's queen 7, We've got a queen and a 7. That's a great deal. For $2, you got it. Let's see a flop. So this is kind of an interesting flop. We could check raise, could check call, could check fold, but I'm going to try something a little weird and bet. I bet $4. there's some chance he folds a better hand than ours, right? King high, ace high, pocket deuces, pocket sixes. There's a lot of hands he could just say like, all right, this guy's got it, and just fold. If he calls, we've got ourselves some turn cards that we can potentially drill or pre-drill or pretend to drill. You know, the old 7 rolls off. He's probably folding a better hand than what we have. So I thought all in all, it was kind of a good time to give him a little jab there. That's right. And just be like, get out of here, you know. What do you think of this guy? You know, that's what I was trying to do, and that was that. So I oh look, Queen 7, exact same suit. Don't worry, I won't forget my thought process because I won't. Don't worry. Queen 7 offsuit. I guess we just fold. We have done, yeah. All right, sure. Why not? We got ourselves a nice little stack of viewer questions today that I'm excited to go through because we haven't gone through enough lately. I feel like they've been very slow, and there's a good run. There's like a pile of new questions that I want to add to the pile. I just haven't done that yet, so I want to get through some of these. We add new ones. It'll be great. We'll add to the stack. Decided to raise up here with ace king offsuit. Obviously seems fine. We just did it to this guy not so long ago, so I'm not surprised to see him call now. Not the best of flops, but not the worst of flops. We've managed to still have ace high. It's not that hard to do when you start with ace high. I think we can bet. I think $10 is a reasonable amount. And our opponent calls rather quickly. So, we could be beat, or maybe not. How's that for high-level poker coverage? So, I really doubt this guy has diamonds because, come on. What diamonds does this guy have that just check calls? Almost none. So I'm hoping that by betting twice here that there's a chance he folds a pair. Like, let's say he just has himself like a pocket 5s or maybe even as good as like ace 4, ace 6 maybe. Maybe once in my lifetime the guy would fold a hand as good as like 2 8s there. If he's like super knit, if he's just basically foldy locks over there, then he's just like scared of everything, then maybe he'll fold 7s. But I thought that there was a good chance we could get it done. We could also obviously check back, because let's say we knew for some reason the guy had ace jack. We'd obviously prefer to check back against that hand because he's probably not going to check call, and we have that hand pretty well destroyed. So, but I think it makes more sense not knowing his hand. All we can do is guess. How do you guys like that little hand motion? That's kind of cool. It's like a mix of like playing piano and like summoning something, How do you guys like that little one? That little grinder. That's right. I feel like, sometimes we would defend here and go to war. I'm not in the mood. I just fold, Jack 4 offsuit, no thank you. Let's move on to the next hand, Wake me up when you've got me something worth writing home about. 8-4 puppy dog feet certainly qualifies, especially on the button. I'm calling here for sure. I mean, we've got 8-4 puppy dog feet. What more can you ask for from a starting hand? Suited, connected. I mean, it's still can you drive a bus through the middle of them, but they're pretty connected, Managed to flop ourselves bottom pair here. If our opponent checks, we'll be betting because, pair status, etc. Little red bird seems like an appropriate amount. If our opponent check folds, we probably have the best hand. Against the check call, we may or may not have the best hand. He could have a hand like 2 red 7s, which may or may not fold to a turn bet. Probably not. You could have a hand that's just like queen jack with like the queen of spades, something like that. But I think actually all in all, he has too many hands here that just aren't folding. So I think we should just check back and see what happens. Non-spade is probably the best chance we had to win this hand. So I think no matter what he had up till now, unless he had a hand like exactly like 2 5s with the 5 of spades, pretty sure if we were ahead, we just win now. And if we weren't ahead, then he probably isn't folding. That's right. Get the fuck out of here. That's right. That's right. 8-4 puppy dog feet ran you down, bitch. How'd you guys like if I just shit-talked endlessly against my poor little opponents here that are just playing some sweet 50 cent a dollar? These poor guys been working all day. It's 10:30 at night. Just wanted to play some 50 cent a dollar, and there's some shit-talking guy here that's just, not letting them be. That seems like, seems so mean. Oh, I check and I raise. All right. That's cool. Well, given that we have nothing, I guess we just fold. We could have the best hand, of course. He could just have some spades or 8-9 or something like that. But this guy's hasn't done this before, and our hands is so bad that if we are behind, we're just in the old cellar of things. That's right, we're in the cellar. How do you guys like that? All right. Ace Jack certainly going to get raised up. I saw The Conjuring the other day. Not usually a movie watcher or a horror movie watcher, but I watched it and didn't hate it. It was alright. It was alright, I guess. Our opponent here has defended in the old big blind. Pretty sure that I'll be betting if check to, calling if bet into. Bet $2. If our opponent check raises, I'm going to be a little suspicious. Looks like, people could check raise for value. It happens sometimes. We saw it last video. Sometimes they just have it. Doesn't mean that they always have it, Don't be afraid of things, That's been my advice. I think I've consistently said, don't be afraid, or frequently phrased as, don't be scared, homie. And I've also said many times, drink a lot of water. That's true. More key J. Carver wisdoms. I guess we fold. I like this. I don't hate the price we're getting, but we're out of position. This guy is probably doing nothing besides folding, but, I guess we just say, okay. I'm excited. Let's pull a couple viewer questions today. Let's see. If you yourself got a question for me, dearjcarver@gmail.com, you'll get your question potentially answered on the show. No promises, No promises. Don't send me anything urgent. J. Carver, I really need my medicine. This is the bad email address to email. It might take a while. All right. Let's pull a question. Let's see. I feel like I haven't done a good cut in a while. I've just been pulling off the top. So let's see. A question. Oh, all right. This is a good question. No subject is the title. No subject. He's too excited. He had to just write his damn question. All right. Dear J. Carver, I've enjoyed running up. Thank you. I've enjoyed it too. Hopefully more than you, but maybe not. Whatever that means. In an earlier episode, you hinted at a time in your career when you were playing 100-200 with only $100,000 in your bankroll. Can you elaborate on that situation? Oh, I sure can. So, back when I was a wee lad, just a wee lad, that's right, I didn't really give a shit. I didn't give one hoot about money. So, whatever the biggest game was running, I was like, sweet, that sounds like fun. Let's play that. So that's what I did, a lot. And that resulted in some very large losses in my poker career, such as the one that I've talked about before. But there was a session I played at, it was like 1 or 2 in the morning. I was 18 or 19 years old, living at my parents' house still, and I had like 100,000 to my name. And I think this is the night you're talking about. And there was a guy who was really bad, playing 200-400, which was the biggest game on the internet at the time. He was playing 200-400, and it was a game that had Antonius, Brian Hastings, this guy who wasn't very good, a couple other people, and me. I took Ivy's seat. Ivy left, and I was like, it's my time, bitch. It's my time. Let me get in there. So I took my run-it-up shield and sword, went to battle. I did all right. I sat with 20K, and I had 100 or less to my name. It was like somewhere between 90 and like 110 to my name at the time, and never played this big before. Not even 100, 200. I probably hadn't even played 50, 100 that often. Maybe just like that session with Natisau was my only time, or not too often though. So I hadn't had too much experience at like these nosebleed sort of stakes, and I remember loving it. I remember opening to like $1,100 and just being like, "Holy shit!" I just raised the laptop as like my open raise. It was like so sick. As like a 18, 19-year-old idiot, I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. As this is not a good flop for big blinds, typically speaking. So we're probably not winning this one. Oh, he checks back. That's kind of him. If only we could drill or a 9 or a 3. Maybe we could win this pot. King is interesting. I mean, okay. I could try to bluff. I could try to bluff. But this guy's probably got ace high very often. But I don't know if that... I mean, I guess... Wow. Well, we should never have seen those $3 ever again. Our opponent decided to be nice about it and just say friendly poker. That's interesting. Good information to know. So yeah, I sat down with $20,000, Phil Ivey's seat, 1 a.m. Didn't have any parental guidance, that's for sure. I just decided to do it. Just decided to rip it in there, and I ran it up a little bit to like 25K, feeling good. Don't remember any hands before that, and then I remember raising on like the button something, maybe even like the spot before the button. The bad player called, or I don't know how bad he was, but the player who I was there for called. I had ace of hearts, 8 of spades, ace 8 with the 8 of spades. My opponent called, or whatever it was pre-flop. I believe it was just a single raised pot. Could be wrong about the details, but I remember my hands for sure. So flop came down, 9-10 jack, 3 spades. I have an open-ended straight flush draw, and 2006 Jay Carver, or however old I was at the time, might even be 2005. I was like, holy heck! I've got myself a open-ended straight flush draw, and little did I put any thought into exactly what was going on. And I don't remember the action. I believe I bet like maybe $1,600. He raised $4,400. I said, I'm all in. And my opponent called rather quickly and showed the old king of spades jack for top pair and a better flush draw. So that's not the greatest hand that you want to see when you have the low end of the straight flush draw. So I had like 20% equity, and I'll never forget, never ever will I ever forget, that I had almost exactly 25K. My opponent had almost exactly 25K, or maybe he just called, but whatever it was. So I think I was all in. So I had almost exactly 25K. And after I was all in and he had called, or whatever the action was, I was all in, he called, whatever it was, all of the chips that were like in stacks and piles condensed in the middle of the table into two little 25K chips. And then like some pennies to play for, because it was like almost exactly 50K. Brick and brick. And I lost my first 50K pot as like a 18, 19-year-old idiot. And that was like the only night that I've ever had trouble sleeping from losing at poker. Because I was like, oh my God, dude, what did I just do? I just lost $25,000 and I got it in super badly. And at that point in my life, I had no one to talk to about that. I had no high stakes friends. I didn't have any sort of like, I don't even remember telling my parents about it. Not that I like hid it, but they just like didn't really manage my poker at all, or like care really. Like it was my mother didn't take it serious. I think if my mother had taken those sort of things seriously, she would have been like acknowledging that I was actually like winning, and that wasn't gonna happen. So and I don't remember if I told my dad or not, but I mean I probably did. I've always been relatively honest, besides that whole like 23 years of secrecy. Beyond that little thing, I've been pretty honest with my dad always, so I must have told him, but I don't remember anyone's reaction besides mine being like really like upset and like frustrated with myself. I didn't play 200 400 again for at least a year or two after that. Oh, just 4 of a kind, no big deal. So yeah, that was that story. But I mean, I have so many like there. While at the time I was living in my parents' house, which ended by the time I was 19. So before I was like 19 and a half, I had lost $40-something thousand in a day 3 separate times. That being not one of them. It was just like, and I laugh because I never had more than like 150K. Never. And I lost 40K in a day 3 times. I've told this story a couple times before, but I enjoy it a lot. So I'm going to tell a specific angle of this story momentarily. What is this guy doing? He calls pre, and now here we are. All right. I guess we're giving this guy the business. Bet, and bet. All right. Do I love this? I mean, no, of course not. But what does this guy have? If he has like 10s or better, he's never folding. But I think that there's some chance that if he has like just like pocket 5s or like ace 4, he'll have some chance he'll fold. Looks like that's not going to happen. 3 of a kinds was never getting out of there. That was not in my hope to fold pile. But so 2 times that I lost 40K, I just lost 40K. That was it. There was no happy upside. It was just like, all right, see you later. And then another of the times that I lost 40K, I remember losing 40K in like the afternoon. And this was back in the day that I used to still teach karate for like $8 an hour too. So how sick is that? I actually maintained like a 5-day a week, $10 an hour job while playing for nosebleed stakes. So that's kind of sick. But I mean, I obviously not quite. I didn't look at it as a job. I looked at it as like a thing I did for fun, obviously. But still. But one of those days, I remember losing like 40K in a morning or an afternoon, and I went downstairs for dinner. And, my mother and I have always had a very interesting relationship. And this is definitely the more combative stage of our relationship. And I was just in like a very, not the nicest of moods, I guess you could say. And I remember like telling my mother as like a needle. And I was like, yeah, I lost 40K today or whatever. Like, I don't remember how exactly I did it. But I remember telling her in a way that I wanted to get a reaction. But my mother, being the master of these sort of games, refused to give me any kind of reaction. And she was just like, yeah, okay, whatever. Which is absolutely crazy, right? Like, what a sicko. How could she do that kind of thing to her, like, 18-year-old kid who's doing this? That's the kind of games that we play all the time. And and I still do it to this day, believe it or not. So I was so annoyed at that I like quickly ate my food, went upstairs, and was like, all right, well, I guess I remember being like so motivated by that. It was like so tilted me. I went upstairs and got back to Unstuck. I won 40K. It was a great little day. All at like 10-20, 20-40. 20-40 actually ran a bunch back in the day on good old sites like PokerShare, which I'm sure like 2% of you have ever heard of. They actually had like 40-80 games, 81-60 games. They had weird limits back in the golden days. But yeah, I ended up getting back to even. So your question was, how did you play at those stakes? Well, I told you. Did you win? I told you that. Would I recommend taking a stab like this as a poker player? That's an interesting question. I mean, look, like when I was an 18-year-old kid, like what did it matter? I had 100,000. If I lost 25,000, it didn't matter. I could lose 100,000. I mean, it would have been devastating to my like ego and my determination of like how skilled I was, especially since I was like an island. So if I had lost my entire bankroll, I would have just assumed that was bad and just lost. I would never have restarted it. So the risk of ruin definitely existed, but losing 20,000 or 10,000 in a day. God, I lost 10,000 in a day so often from like 18, 19, 20 years old. It was like a crazy thing how often that would happen. I mean, I would like win or lose these huge numbers because I just played whatever. It just didn't matter because the money just didn't mean anything. Like the money didn't have a real value to me. It was just like a score, and that was just what it was. I guess I'm not going to even call this hand. This hand's probably going to be easy enough unless our opponent decides to just check down with the old 9 high again. We just chop it up. I mean, I feel like when people check back on this board, they're not usually checking back and then looking to find a way to fold. They're looking back and trying to find a way to get to showdown. And I just don't feel like, with our reputation, I don't really feel like we can just run this down too often. I assume you win, sir. All right. Whenever I'm watching, I turn a profit. All right, nice. Maybe you should watch and play a nosebleed stakes. That's what I'm telling you to do, apparently. But I don't ever recommend anything to anyone. And anytime that the underage generation or even like marginal like college age, look at this disciplined fold. Anytime like any of you like college run it up warriors in training out there message me about like, hey, how do I go pro and everything else like that. I always try to be very like, try to tell the tale of caution and, it's not for everyone. It's not all just like glamour and just, you can't just give everyone the claw. You know what I mean? You get clawed yourself a good percentage of the time. And it's not easy, but it's awesome, and it can be awesome if you really, really, truly love poker. It can be great. But like I've said before so many times, nobody really goes into poker and then stays in poker for their lives. Very few people do that. So, you always want to make sure you have other plans. You use poker as a portal that takes you to your true passion. I'm totally cool with that. Balance it out and whatever else, but if somebody came up to me and was like, hey, I'm a brilliant Swedish whiz kid, and I would love nothing more than to learn and crush poker, I'm sure that we could mold that person It's like a little massage type of molding thing I was doing there. Definitely calling with king high. King high. It's a great hand. Blind versus blind. What more can you ask for? I definitely feel like I could forge you into a killer and destroyer for sure. I could do it. But you have to really make sure you want it and are committed to it and treat it like a business and treat it seriously. And then you always want to make sure you have other options and backup plans and all sorts of things. So I'm not really sure what this fella's doing here, but don't think we have any options besides to call flop, call turn, make a decision on river. If the river is like a jack of spades, I'll be kind of sad. But what can you do? Five of spades, I'm a little bit less sad, but I would think that it would shut this guy down to some degree. What is this guy doing? Like, what does he have? Just like ace X of spades? He has like ace jack, something like that. We could shove. That's what I was considering, because I feel like maybe he is stronger than us. He has just like king queen, king 10, ace jack, jack 9. But I think we can just call, honestly, right? Calling's gotta be okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that hand's going to fold if we shove. I mean, it would be... I was definitely concerned, but I just don't think that there's any way that we could fold there. I mean, I definitely felt like there was some chance we were beat, but I just didn't think we could fold the river. I mean, given, like, the perfect river card hit, I felt like there was just probably not too much we could do there. Could lead here. This guy just limped. This guy posted and then just checked, right? So he's unlikely to have an ace. We're kind of unlikely to just bet out here strong, because this guy could definitely try to fuck with us, which is why I'm definitely not folding this hand, by the way. So I think we just make it... I think we call, maybe? Let's call. That probably makes the most sense, right? We actually turn an open-ender, which is kind of cool. So I think we just check raise all in. Check, let him try to bluff, even though there's nothing he can do here that makes any sense. I'm all in. Could we be beat here? Yes, of course, for sure. But now we actually have some equity, and I don't think this guy ever has anything too much here. He posted and then checked, you know what I mean? Just can't have too much, in my opinion. Not often enough. Ooh, gonna need some help. All right, full house, that will do it. So he got us. He got us, He happened to hit the sequence of events in that he got all the chips. It happens, Here's your $50, sir. You got it. I feel like it kind of sucks, obviously, but, A, we didn't even have 0% equity. We had a little bit of equity, just a smidgen of equity in there. For that to happen, he would have had to post with an ace, raise with an ace. Even if he has, like, ace deuce, he might just end up folding, you know what I mean? So he has to have, like, a strong enough ace or two pair. Like, he has to have, like, 4-7 or like ace 7, ace 4, and not have raised. I thought that there was just such a, I thought that it just had there was such a high chance that he would just end up bet folding that I thought that we could probably get that done. Didn't work out for us this time, but I actually think that bluff is completely fine, to be honest. Like, I think that play is completely fine, even if it did end up costing us some money. Gonna raise here, got position. This guy's been pretty aggressive pre-flop. This guy just posted again. So I think re-raising makes sense. I did credit yesterday for 150, by the way. I had misspoken. I said it was 100, but I had just forgot that we added on. So the bankroll is accurate. Over to Rusty Rupert over there. Whatever that means. Okay. Off to the flop we go. I feel like we haven't made the pair status too often in this video. Not that that makes a difference or matters at all, but it seems true. $10? That's my wager. $10. Don't think it makes much of a difference whether or not we bet 10 or 9 or 12 or 13. I don't think it changes his decision too much. Like, I don't think 10 is going to make him check raise versus 9 making him check fold. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that makes a big difference. So anywhere in that ballpark is probably sufficient. Let's pull another viewer question. That was a great viewer question. Look at all the chat we had off that, That was a great little viewer question we got there. All right. You got it, kid. You got it here. You got it. It's a UK fan. It's one of the UK run-it-up samurai. One day, when I'm sick of the YouTube life, I'm going to just move to the UK. I would like a room in a castle. I'm sure one of you has a castle, right? I would like a room in a castle, and we'll just do like a run-it-up training samurai warrior center, right? I actually think that it might be a cool idea, right? Imagine how cool that would be. We all get together in somewhere, in some way, and we somehow do like a run-it-up warrior, the ultimate run-it-up warrior, something like this, right? This is my creative process that I go with all the time. I think it would be so awesome to do some sort of like a reality show where everyone like trains and battles, and we have to see who can compete for like you know what I mean? How cool would that be? I would love to do that somewhere. We could do local different versions. It would be great. I'm coming around to that idea. Or at least ideas like that. Because now that there are like different groups of like run-it-up warriors throughout the world, I think that it's only, if I'm going to be the head of the run-it-up legion, I feel like it's only my duty to make sure that all my legionnaires are at peak performance. So how do we not do more reviews and things like that? Am I right? Oh yeah. Huge yeah. That's what I just heard from you guys. That's right. Through time and the internets. that's how clear that. Oh heck yeah. That's what I heard. Loud and clear. Oh heck yeah, Jay Carver. All right. Well, I mean, you know, we could do the check raise dance and do some aggressive thing. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. This time I say we do not. Dear Jay Carver, says this friend from the UK. Lewis from London. That's right. Lewis from London writes, firstly, I'd like to say how helpful your videos have been. I find myself talking during the sessions. Nice. Saying, I think I'm going to start out with a bet. 101 dealer. Nice. I like that. It's an old joke. And that's a pretty good flop for the X and the X. That's very true. These are all things that I say. And I think it's good, especially if you're starting with poker. It's a good foundation. You flop things and say, all right, well, this is a good thing. I have this, and then you go from there. I think that makes sense. My question is one that is probably asked a lot. That's a bad sign, and you shouldn't admit that either, you know? You should say this is a unique, interesting question, even if it isn't. A few months ago, I had deposited into a few sites and lost my money due to bad bankroll management. Happens to everyone. Don't despair. Tilt and outright gambling has been affecting my mood and confidence at the poker table. I would like to know what is the best way for me to build my confidence back up to help me become a winning poker player. London, Lewis from London. Well, Lewis from London, I have always been a fan of the concept of that when you are losing, if you lose 2 sessions in a row, move down. Play smaller. Your plays will work out. You'll feel like you're a step ahead of everyone. You know, if you usually play 1-2 online and you just get crushed and whacked forever, you know, for a couple sessions and you really start feeling bad, don't play 1-2 again. Play 50 cents a dollar. Play with the weaker people. You'll feel better. Preying on the weak. In this particular case, with this guy calling behind me, I'm a little concerned. We probably have him beat, but maybe not. And this guy check raising, again, we might have him beat, but we might not. I don't really feel comfortable enough, like, calling, and then, you know, I don't think this guy has us beat too often, if at all. This guy could definitely have king-queen, pocket fives, king-5 suited, or he could just have a hand with a lot of equity, like 2 clubs, something like that. And, you know, we could call and then call, but, you know, we could. And it's a viable path, and we've taken that path before, even in this video, as you guys have seen. But I felt like in that particular case, that should just be an old... That's right. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I don't know what I'm doing. It's like, you know, it's like a... Yeah, sure. It's exactly like that. That's what it is. Anyway, so confidence, right. So don't be afraid to move down. Play with the worst players. It'll make you feel better, make your confidence sharper. Those things are totally fine. You know, don't have an ego. Drop down, play with weaker players. See how it makes you feel. It'll make you feel good, I promise. I also think that if you feel like you've blown your money a lot and you feel like regret and anxiety and other sorts of human emotions when it comes to losing, which are all fine, there are things you can do, number one, that can kind of like help shape and frame your mindset that make wins and losses not so painful, right? So like if you play a session where you lose 2 buy-ins, but a worse player, if you can think to yourself that a worse player or the average player in the game you're playing would have lost 3 buy-ins, that's a great win in my book. If you've managed to get in the streets and just bluff your way and just put on your bluffing shoes and just get it done and make yourself a buy-in in bluffs, that's great. That's great. Even if you lost 2 buy-ins, who cares? It's poker. You're going to lose a lot. The best thing you can do is try to lose less than your opponents and try to win more than your opponents. Don't worry about, wins or losses in that kind of sense. So having a mindset that makes some sense, having a solid foundation, which comes through practice, obviously, watching videos, reading books, that kind of thing. Once you get that internalized, it'll help a lot with dealing with swings of things. So if I recall correctly, this guy's got a bit of an aggressive streak to him, so I don't really want to check raise and then just let him re-raise and then not know where we're at, but I'm fine with calling. I think putting this in the calling basket makes sense. Ace, not the best of cards, but he did pot the flop, so I kind of feel like it's unlikely that he's going to have an ace too often that's going to pot flop. Against a check back, I'm not loving it, obviously. He could definitely have us beat, but we got to just check and call. We beat 6-7, 4-6, clubs, 7-9. We're just going to win this pot here, unless something weird happened. I was also going to say that a very simple tip that I can give you, if you feel like you've been tilted a lot due to bankroll management and stuff like that, just play smaller, generally speaking. Like, if you go and you play, let's say you have 5K and you're playing 1-2, right? You have 5K and you're playing 1-2 and you just go through a week of poker and you lose $1,000 or £1,000, whatever it is. If you go through that and lose and you're like, oh my God, I lost £1,000, that's a lot of telly I could have just bought or whatever it is, I could have bought a lot of mobiles with that. I don't know, whatever it is that you like to buy. I think that the best thing you can do is just move down, play smaller, right? Easy peasy. If you don't have the intestinal fortitude to deal with the swings of things, or you're feeling upset and it's affecting your life, all of a sudden, your girlfriend used to think you were sensitive and a sweetheart, and now a little marshmallow on the inside she used to call you, and now you're just an asshole because you're upset because you're losing all the time. Well, play smaller. It'll probably help. It'll impact your moods less. If your mood, you want to pretend, let's pretend that the swings of poker are a roller coaster, and they are. You win, you lose. It's crazy. It's a great, exciting little ride. You don't want your emotions to be on that roller coaster because it makes you a person that's tougher to be with, right? What's the worst thing is when you're in a room of professional poker players and there's one person playing on their computer who's just losing a flip and is just oh my God, I just lost a flip. You know what I mean? Oh my God, dude, relax. Grow up a little bit. That happens so often. I've seen that so many times, and it's that kind of toxic attitude that is just so bad for other people and other poker players. It's bad for your own mindset. It's bad for your game. That kind of shit. Just leave that behind. If you can get over it and work through that, it'll be only a plus for you. And I actually think that even if you're just that way in real life, that maybe if you're just that way where no matter whether it's poker or whatnot, if you're just mad at, losing, things like that, I think that's not necessarily the worst thing to strive towards, being a little bit more of an emotional robot, I'm not saying emotional robot always, but at least having some having a strong logic foundation that kind of carries you through some of the emotional swings, right? I'm not saying you shouldn't enjoy the highs and that you shouldn't feel the lows. That's not really a realistic thing to do. But I do think that it's realistic to at least, dull the pain of the lows and probably not get too excited about the super high end of the highs either. Check and the min raise. This guy could be bluffing us, we have king high, which is not the worst thing, but I really doubt that he's check min raising us here he could be bluffing us for sure. I decided to fold, we don't even beat king queen. I really doubt he would check min raise with 9-8 or queen 9 or something like that. One of these days we'll make it to pair status, and then we'll be able to be all right, I got a pair, I can call down. I guess we can raise this. We've been raising worse than this, so I think this is fine to raise. So yeah, I feel like we've talked a lot about your question, but I think we did a pretty good job of answering it all in all, to be honest with you. Oh, another email. The exact same one from the first one. That's weird. I'm glad I saw that now. Okay. All right. I'm going to check back. We made it to pair status. Now I'm going to check back. How's that for logic? I bet here more than I check, but I decided to check here against an aggressive pirate over there. $1, you got it. I'll call $1. That's the price I can afford. $1, sure. If he bets significantly, okay, I'll see your cards for $1. We don't win this almost ever, but I'll pay $1 to see what you have here. All right. Okay, so question here. Subject: Vegas with like 4 S's, all caps, hashtag run it up. Dear Jay Carver, I'm coming to Vegas from London next month. I'm telling you, the UK samurai over there. I'm ready. I'm almost ready to do it. I feel like there's like an underground, you're the UK fans. You're doing it. I'm ready to come back home to my Somerville homestead up in Wales. That's what I've heard. I'm ready. I'm ready to come back and be with my people. Anyway, dear Jay Carver, I'm coming to Vegas from London next month, my first time in the US. Well, let me tell you one thing. Las Vegas is nothing like the rest of the United States of America. Only here for 4 days, so I want to fit a lot in, but definitely want to play at least 2 live tourneys. Which tourneys would you recommend for someone with a minimal bankroll looking to buy in no more than $50 or $60? Thanks, Dr. Sir Connor Oscar William Gladstone the Fourth Hadfield. Oh, if that's not a great little sign off, I don't know what is. Gonna re-raise here. Because this guy called in between, I feel like maybe this guy will suspect that we are squeezing, and maybe he'll raise it, get it in lighter. But people don't seem to be doing that in these games, you know? People seem to be pretty fit or fold pre-flop. They don't seem like there's too much creativity pre-flop. So maybe if this guy just like ships it in our face, we would actually consider folding. Looks like that's not going to happen this time. Heads up to the flop we go. Do I love it? No, not particularly. I'm not doing cartwheels over here, but, I don't think we have too many other options besides bet and then not fold. Don't love it, because you could have jacks, you could have 9s or 8s, obviously, but there's not that much behind, so we would just have to just bet and not fold. Anyway, so Sir Connor Oscar William Gladstone looking for tournaments in Vegas. Well, first of all, welcome to Las Vegas. I'm not sure when you're going to be here. Next month, November. We're in November. You could already be here, I don't even know. Hopefully it's not too late to get some advice. So I don't really know like the live schedule, but there are so many good events. Like I know Aria has some all the time. Aria is a great place to play poker. Bellagio, obviously the pinnacle of poker in Las Vegas and potentially in America, or not anymore, obviously, but at one point they were. You could play online, of course, ultimatepoker.com. All you have to do is be in the borders of Nevada and soon New Jersey. That's right. Run it up in New Jersey, coming soon to a town near you. I haven't decided if I'm going to go to Jersey, but eventually I'm sure I'll be there. I'm excited about that. Almost home sweet home, like my cousins, my New Jersey cousins over there. What was your question? Oh yeah. So there are. I'm not really sure. You're gonna have to look at like the schedule, but I'm sure it's like all posted. You'll be able to find something for your buy-in range, and hopefully you'll have yourself a grand old time. Gonna call here. Pocket queen seems like a reasonable thing to do. What else are we gonna do? Raise makes no sense. Fold makes no sense. Turn ourselves the old open ender, and then our opponent checks. Feel like this is a good time to give him the old redbird treatment. Could have the worst hand. You could have like king 5 suited. That's for sure possible. Could have the best hand. That's also possible. Looks like that's the case this time. So we're stuck like $83 right now. Don't feel like we played too poorly. We did that one check raise bluff, which kind of sucked, and then we lost with the king 4 against ace jack. I don't think there's anything that I really regret too much from this session, to be honest. I think it's just one of those sessions that we weren't going to win. There were just no real hands that we were able to get it done on or really get much value out of anybody. And I still feel like like we were talking about before, I feel like if you gave these exact same cards, well, that's not true, because in this particular session, if I gave these exact same cards to like my dad, he wouldn't have lost all that money with a 6-9 offsuit, right? He wouldn't have lost all that money. So maybe in this particular case with these exact cards, maybe other players would have lost less than us. But I think, you know, in the long run, playing this session against these opponents for this time we played, I think we did okay, generally speaking. So we ended up losing $82.88. So my accounting states that we are down to 1638.37. So we're kind of far from the 2K mark, but I'm motivated. You know. We've got hit twice now. We've lost like $250. I'm a little pissed. I'm a little ticked off over here. That's right. Anyway, I guess should we do a turn in chat? All right, let's do a wrap up turn in chat here. Let's do this. All right. Oh wow, you can see my unclean desk. That's right. I've got myself a PlayStation 4 controller. All excited about that. That's right. Got myself a belt just in case I have to put on pants, you know, which I never like to do. That's right. You guys get to see like it's my normal desk almost. Well, you don't get to see the fun part, but you get to see some of the fun parts, I guess. All right. Boy, I'm glad that this frame is perfectly where it is. All of the scandalous things are like right on the edge. Slightly scandalous. Nothing too crazy. Don't worry. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. As always, hopefully you enjoyed the video. We did a nice little long video for you guys today. Don't forget, let me know in the comments below what you guys thought. Don't forget to like the video. Also, hang out with me on Facebook. Facebook.com/jcarverpoker. That's our run it up home away from home. And I think that's it for me. Thanks so much for watching. As always, guys, I will see you back for more tomorrow. Peace.